You must have heard this saying that a picture speaks 1,000 words. Well, a movie scene speaks 1,000,000 words. But how do we understand what it says, or where to even begin?
Good. Rested.
Let me start by taking an
Yes.
example from Paul Thomas
Excited.
Anderson's
Yeah. Have
masterpiece,
you made some
The
friends?
Master. Say in this
Everyone's very
scene,
nice here.
where
Good.
Freddy and
How
Mr.
are you?
Lancaster have their first
Yeah, good.
session of therapy,
I gather
or
it's
rather a super honest confrontation about
you'll be my
Freddy's
guinea
true
pig
self.
protege.
Now, we need to ask a few questions such as,
Or
why
more
is the room
questions.
so dimly lit? If they just have to talk, then why not do it on a park bench or some airy open space? Why does Freddy have
Are
to
you
wear
ready?
a light colored
Yes.
shirt while Mr. Lancaster wears dark clothes? Well, all these decisions are carefully planned and executed to tell a greater story other than what is happening in the scene. Cinephiles like to call it Mise-en-Scene. It is essentially a group of visual elements which work in sync to enhance the film's narrative and provide strong subtext of the theme. Although it is mostly observed in a few particular scenes in any movie, I would like to talk about the underrated and underappreciated Manoj Bajpai starrer Gali Guleiyan, directed by Dipesh Jain, who presents the life of a loner trapped in his lifestyle as well as his past conflicts in this movie. The most notable part of this film is the masterful use of mise-en-scene that is observed across the whole length of the runtime, right from its first frame to its last. I will break the components of mise-en-scene into 5 categories here. So let's talk about its setting. The story is set in a maze like neighborhood of Old Delhi. It is portrayed as a place where protagonist Hudus is trapped and wants to get out, but he just cannot. This is the primary desire which drives the story forward and is layered with the parallel story of a kid, Iddu, who wants the same to escape his abusive father. This setting sets the perfect tone of the film and conveys the core theme of the movie, that is, escapism from the shackles of our unresolved issues.
तुम यही रहते हो? मैं किसी को ढूंढ रहा था.
Decor, also known as props in the theatre, are the most important elements to notice in this film. We often see hoodoos encompassed with old CRTs, mesh wires, entangled wires, and CCTV cameras in the background or in the frame. There is a constant undertone of old, dusty, and useless things around hoodoos. These things tell a ton of information about Hudus and his mindset. He is still stuck in the past, which has messed up his life like those dusty tangled wires. The cameras signify the voyeuristic pleasure he gets to escape his own self by prying into others' lives. Notice this scene where he is searching for Iddu and it's the middle of the day, but all the shops are closed, every shutter is down. Well, these complement the narrative of the Mohalla being a cage to Hudus. Lighting. The interior night scenes of Hudus's house or office is dimly lit by yellow bulbs, again old and obsolete. The daylight scenes are usually lit in a depressing bluish hue, which is done by lowering the temperature and the white balance. It is done to communicate a slow and depressing tone of the movie. Speaking of costume, Hudus is seen wearing faded and ill-fitted clothes that add to the whole shabby and disheveled aura around him. Another interesting fact is that he is seen wearing the same clothes throughout the film. Now, this denotes meaning in two levels. First is that it gives an obvious impression of his poverty and explains his circumstances. Second is more on a thematic level where it shows his inability to move on from the past and thus explaining his circumstances. In this scene, where he is visited by his brother, we can derive strong yin yang type of imageries where his brother is dressed in tiny whites, conveying his well off monetary status and better living conditions, which is in absolute contrast to Manoj Bajpai's character. Acting. Since this concept emerged from theatrics, acting has been a vital component where the theme and narrative is emoted on a physical level, where it is denoted through the trance like in expressions of Manoj Bajpai, who brilliantly portrays the mindspace of Hudus.
ये गली गुलिया किस तरफ है?
हिद्दू तो एक और बारी सोच ले यार, तू यहाँ नहीं होगा, मेरा होमवर्क और कर
भाई
और मैं
Cinema is the most ambiguous form of art. So tell me your thoughts in the comments. My name is Kaustubh and I thank you all.